Wait a second. Aren't you Captain America?
Yeah, I know. I know.
What is up, Netflix fans, and welcome back to my channel. We have a brand new Netflix movie. It's called The Red Sea Diving Resort, and today we're going to talk about it. I need your comments down below. Did you enjoy this movie? Were you looking forward to it? And let's talk about this film. So, inspired by remarkable true-life rescue missions, this is the incredible story of a group of agents and brave Ethiopians who in the early 80s used a deserted holiday retreat in Sudan to smuggle thousands of refugees to Israel. Now, the team that completes this mission is led by Ari Levinson, played by Chris Evans, a man who, at this point, kind of wants to escape the stigma of being Captain America. Not that there's anything wrong with him being Captain America, my favorite on-screen superhero of all time, but it is kind of exciting to see where his career is going to go now, right? I was excited for him in this movie. He's, of course, got Knives Out coming out here in a few months. His career has the potential to take off even further than it already has. And really, the supporting cast in general is great. Haley Bennett, Ben Kingsley, everyone in this movie does a very good job in terms of acting. Certain characters didn't get the chance to shine in the way that I think they should have, and other characters are just resorted to a room full of security monitors and keyboards, just kind of walking around and talking about the mission going on. Ben Kingsley's character, I think, should have had more to do. You cast someone like that and you don't really utilize him. But okay, that's great. How was the story? Did it impact you in the way that the filmmakers intended? I don't think the execution was anywhere near the true story, what actually went down. That in itself is a 10 out of 10, and the fact that they chose to tell this is awesome. I love it. I know there's some controversy going on right now, the whole white savior thing. I don't want to necessarily get into that because for me, I look at this film, how they chose to execute it. I thought the acting was good. I thought certain aspects of the directing was good. That in itself is my main flaw with the film, but the story is something that I believe needs to be told, and it truly is something that is captivating, especially when you start thinking about how many lives were saved because of these real-life individuals. Those are the heroes. Those are the ones that should be appreciated and respected. And the fact that this is being told to a wider audience, getting the word out about what actually happened. I learned a lot watching this film. I think I could have absolutely learned more, but just the basis of the story is awesome. And to everyone that took part in this in real life, that's why movies are made, man, to tell stories like this. Heartbreaking, captivating, saving lives. That's all that matters. And I loved that aspect of the movie. In terms of how it was executed, I want to get into that real quick. I think it could have absolutely been a bit better. I was wanting an Argo meets a Munich. You have a Ben Affleck's Argo meets a Steven Spielberg's Munich. As in, it's this kind of undercover secret mission where only a select few people know or think that they know about it. They're leaving others in the dark because they want to do this as conspicuously as possible. That's an interesting concept, and it's all about the execution. My big issue with the film is the fact that it didn't come together to create something narratively that separates itself from what we've seen before and that does things just a bit differently. It was all very conventional as these people just kind of swoop in to save the day. There is conflict, but the conflict never really feels like the stakes are as high as they portray or the stakes are as high as they seem. Sure, there are a lot of innocent people that die in this film, and that is tragic in itself. But the way that it was shown to us on screen, I never felt the tension. I never felt the intensity that they were trying to bring across to the audience. And the way it was edited together, they choose to go about this in a stylistic way with transitions that are a bit more interesting than normal transitions and maybe music that keeps the movie upbeat and more exciting than it could have been. But I didn't necessarily want this film to be exciting. I wanted it to tell this true story in a way that made me feel captivated and really emotional as opposed to entertained and like, oh yeah, this is cool, this is fun, because this isn't really source material that makes a movie fun. This is source material that should make you emotional and sad for the people that had to experience this in real life, and I never felt that way. It did kind of harken to movies like an Ocean 11 where they're trying to pull off a heist. Now, it's not a heist, but it did feel like that at times. And Chris Evans, as much as I love him, he was great in this movie. He did come across as more of a superhero than a real life hero, and I think a lot of that has to do with the dialogue. Some of the one-liners in here were extremely cheesy, over the top, and just things that no one would say in real life. There's even a line in the movie where he says, "What we do is dangerous. People get hurt sometimes," and I could have pulled that out of this film and placed it in one of the Avengers movies, and it would have fit that's a superhero film. And even though these are real-life superheroes, that's not the kind of dialogue that I wanted for these real-life heroes. I wanted something more intimate, something more emotional, and something that made me feel like this wasn't a Hollywoodized movie, something that made me feel like this was a true telling of the story. I don't necessarily have anything against the casting of Chris Evans. It's all about the dialogue, the script, and the way that this was portrayed involving the narrative, and it just didn't come across in a way that felt realistic. And yes, he feels like this righteous hero, and I do think a lot of people who watch this movie are going to enjoy that because it is, in its own way, enjoyable, but it's just not the tone that I felt this film needed. It went in a different direction, and sometimes that's good, but the montages, especially when you're playing Duran Duran underneath it, when you have a film that deals with tragedy in this manner, I don't think something like that is needed. I don't think the stylistic choices worked for this film, and at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and say this is a bad movie because it did have some things that really worked. I just love the entire concept of the Red Sea Diving Resort kind of going against the government's wishes and bringing in people to make it look like an actual hotel. That was really cool, and there are cool things, cool moments in this movie, and there were moments of intensity. I just didn't feel it as much as I think the film intended for us to feel. And at the end of the day, I'm still not going too low. I'm going 52% because there were things in there that I did enjoy, and I do think some will enjoy it. I need to know in the comments down below, did you enjoy the Red Sea Diving Resort, or did you want more out of it like I did? Later on today, possibly another review, but we are getting ready for Hobbs and Shaw. That review will be out tomorrow night. I can't wait to talk about that and give you guys my ranking of the best Fast and Furious movies. I'll see you very soon.